Did you know that Ozoni is the first soup eaten on New Year's Day in Japan? It's a dish packed with meaning, tradition, and delicious flavors, all served in a warm, comforting bowl. In Japan, eating Ozoni on New Year's Day symbolizes good health and a prosperous year ahead. Today, we're making a simple yet flavorful version of this traditional soup right in our own kitchen. Here's everything you'll need to make a simple yet delicious Ozoni. Chicken thigh, daikon, carrot, nappa cabbage, mushrooms, bamboo shoots, and of course, mochi. Some ingredients like mochi might be tricky to find at your local store, but don't worry, I'll leave a link below so you can easily get it online. Okay, let's start with the carrots. I'm slicing these into thin half rounds. Carrots add a natural sweetness and brighten up the soup. Next up is the daikon, a Japanese radish that becomes tender and flavorful when simmered. For the mushrooms, I'm cutting them into quarters. These will bring an earthy depth to that broth that complements the other ingredients beautifully. Now let's chop up some nappa cabbage. I'm using about 1 cup of this leafy vegetable. On to the bamboo. If your bamboo shoots aren't pre-sliced, cut them into half circles. These add a lovely crunch and a subtle nutty flavor to the dish. Now let's prepare the chicken. I'm using 1 thigh, which is just the right amount for this recipe. Cut it into bite-sized pieces. Chicken thigh meat is perfect because it stays tender and juicy even after simmering. And now for the mochi. I'm cutting it into quarters, which makes 4 smaller chunks. This makes it easier to serve and helps the mochi soften up beautifully in the broth. If you've never tried mochi before, you're in for a treat. It absorbs the broth beautifully and adds a chewy texture that's absolutely irresistible. Now that the prep is done, it's time to start cooking. Let's add 4 cups of water, half a cup of sake, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and 2 packets of dashi. If you'd like to use a similar dashi that I'm using, I'll leave a link in the description below where you can find that online. If you're using dried kelp or chicken broth as a substitute, that works just as well. And finally, add a couple pinches of salt to bring everything together. Now let's turn the stove on to medium heat. Now let the broth come to a gentle bubble. This is when all those flavors start to mix and create that irresistible aroma. Once the broth is bubbling, it's time to add all the prepared ingredients. The chicken, daikon, carrots, mushrooms, nappa cabbage, and bamboo shoots. But not the mochi, that goes in later. Give everything a gentle stir, and once it boils again, cover the pot, lower the heat, and let it simmer for 15 minutes. This will allow the chicken to cook through and the vegetables to soften while soaking up all the delicious flavors of the broth. Okay, before adding the mochi, you want to try the soup to make sure it has enough salt. If not, add a bit more soy sauce. Now add the mochi pieces directly into the soup, letting them soften and absorb the delicious broth. This only takes about 4 to 5 minutes, so keep an eye on them. They'll become beautifully chewy and take on the savory flavors of the soup. And there you have it, the perfect pot of Ozoni, ready to enjoy. Let's serve it up and dig in. That is so good. Oh my gosh. This is absolutely one of my favorite Japanese soups. It's simple, hearty, and a great way to start the year. It's so good, I eat it year round, but don't tell anyone. Another thing I love is how this mochi absorbs the broth. It's soft, chewy, and packed with tons of flavor. It's like comfort in a bite. Mmm. Every region in Japan has its own take on ozoni, so no two bowls are exactly alike. This version is a bit simpler, making it easy to recreate at home. Have you ever tried ozoni or another New Year's dish from a different culture? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. And that's ozoni, simple, comforting, and full of flavor. If you're still hungry, I've got just the thing. Check out this other hot pot dish called nabe. It's hearty, customizable, and perfect for sharing. I'll leave a link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more delicious recipes and adventures from Japan. Thanks for watching, and as always, sayonara!